What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today, I'm here to bring all of you the weekly manga chapter review of Boku no Hero Academia! So it's here! It is finally here, the newest chapter, and with it, it comes with world building. Similar to One Piece this week. I'm really glad to see how the mangaka are trying to world build their series, and getting to see a little bit more information about how Boku no Hero Academia's world works. So, we get introduced to an entirely new cast of characters at the end of this chapter, which I'm willing to bet, knowing Horikoshi and how he writes his series so far from what we have seen from all these chapters, and how he's written all these support and side characters and main characters, I'm willing to bet that these upcoming characters that were introduced at the end of this chapter are probably going to be fantastic and a great addition to the entire cast, because there's quite a few of them so far from what I'm seeing from the ending part of this chapter. They look very interesting the way their designs are. I love the designs of their school uniform. The character that was introduced that supposedly is even better than Todoroki, this man is getting that hype build-up. Like, he's straight up getting a hype build-up. He apparently is more talented, or probably equal or even more talented than Todoroki, and if that is the case, that's pretty damn scary. So this man is going to be a powerhouse in the future of the upcoming exam to get their license. So, moving past that, let's talk about the All Might stuff. And I feel like many might be overlooking this segment of the chapter, and so I'm going to kind of dive into it head first before I get into anything else. So All Might has been going through a very interesting character development arc. Like, his character development he's been going through in these recent chapters are really stunning, and I feel like many are kind of taking it for granted or not really realizing how All Might is developing as a character in these recent chapters. Now, I've kind of mentioned it here and there throughout the chapter reviews. For instance, how All Might is, now powered down, and he's talking to Izuku how he wants to be, like, a better teacher. He wants to be a mentor to where he can raise him better, for he doesn't constantly injure himself. And with this chapter, we get information of how All Might has to go through this development of realizing he is no longer powerful. And this is such a very different thing you see, and you don't normally see from a shonen. I mean, think about this. I mean, in all different shonen series you see, like, let's say a main character, let's say 15 years old or whatever, they get powers, they're strong, the adults raised them in the series. Okay, the teachers or whatever. And you probably hear here and there throughout the entire series' run that apparently, oh, we're going to have to give over our power, the next spot, to the next generation or something. That's kind of what the adults usually say in the manga series when it comes to shonen. Like, we're going to have to give our spot up for the next generation. And then when the series finally gets to that ending point of the, manga, then they give the spot up, and you never get to really see, the old generation have to go through the arc of giving it up. And seeing how, in mid-manga, like, the series ain't even close to being done yet, in the middle of the series, we're getting the next generation already introduced, and All Might having to give up the mantle completely. Like, this man is having to realize he no longer is a hero. He's not strong. He can't go and fight these villains every day. He doesn't have one for all anymore. He can't be a powerhouse. He is not the symbol of peace. And as we know, that is something it would take a lot of time to really cope with. No matter who you are, what type of person you are, if you realize if you've been doing this for so many years, working on this, being a symbol, having this power that you could use every single day, and if it's just gone like that, that's going to be disastrous for you. It's just going to fuck you up. And I mean, that's kind of what's going on with All Might. This man is having to realize he's not powerful. He needs to be protected now. And he's having to go through this, character development, which is very interesting. I find it so fascinating when it comes to All Might, because it can make him an even better character, which I'm just completely shocked, because, I mean, look, I already loved All Might. He's one of my favorite characters of Boku no Hero Academia, and then seeing him now get this development to where he could possibly potentially become a better character, because he has having to learn that he is weak and he cannot really fight anymore, it's such a great start to his character, seeing it develop more. So I can't wait to see where Horikoshi takes All Might's character beyond this point, especially with All Might coming to terms with that he's no longer the symbol, he has to be protected, he is weak. I can't wait to see what direction this goes. Now, past that, let's talk about the big sauce of this chapter, what everybody is probably already talking about in the comments before you even get to this segment of the video. Ochiko's love for Izuku. You know what? This is a good chapter. It's a good day. It's a good day because you remember very early on in the manga, if you've been following these reviews for a very long time, you remember when I first started the series, my favorite female character and which character I've been on the ship with, for instance, I've been shipping Izuku with, would be Ochako. Now, I'm not going to let a ship, determine if I like the series or not. If Ochako didn't win, I'd be fine with it. Okay? I'd be completely fine with it. But seeing Ochako actually having this ship build up where she's now declaring some form of feelings for Izuku, it makes me happy, and it's such a very good and tasteful way to introduce romance into this manga. Hear me out. When you normally see a manga, romance manga, or, not a romance manga, let's not actually factor in romance manga, because that's kind of a little bit unfair, because Boku no Hero Academia is a shonen, it's not meant to be orientated around romance. Let's look at normal shonen, okay, that save the romance for the endgame, like, other series do. Boku no Hero Academia is actually starting the romance off early, but not too early, and not too late. There's this romance building up that we can clearly see going on now with Ochako. She has these feelings forming. Now, we don't know necessarily if these feelings will continue to grow. Maybe she might fall out of love from Izuku and not like him anymore. That's a potential possibility before the series ends. But seeing how Izuku and Ochako now have a possibility for romance, it makes me happy. But also how Ochako is getting these feelings, it feels realistic. It really does. Because, let's think about this. Majority of shonen manga, usually if it's a harem or something, they want to force that romance in right at the beginning. The girl instantly falls in love with the guy. And then, it just doesn't feel like it meshes. Like it's a realistic type of love. It feels like the love just came out of nowhere. It just doesn't feel good. It just doesn't feel tasteful at all. And when you see, romance at the end game of the series, you're like, oh, the romance just came out of fucking nowhere. It's similar to what happened in a harem. How, a harem starts off with all these girls loving a guy for no fucking reason, just because, oh, he's powerful or whatever. It doesn't feel like real romance or love. And then at the end of the series, it just comes out of nowhere, and you're like, I knew that might be a potential, but it just doesn't have that build up. That's kind of how many people feel. And then you have this, what we see in this chapter, of how Horikoshi is actually developing actually good romance in this series that feels legit. It didn't really necessarily come out of nowhere, but also it didn't instantly make it to where Ochako is falling madly in love with Izuku to where she instantly says, I love you, and, becomes selfish or whatever, like a traditional romance you would see. It's nothing like that. You have it to where this romance has been building up, and it's now at the moment where Ochako is starting to realize her feelings for him. It just depends on the way her character goes, if she actually wants to continue down that route, if she wants to be with him or not. So the main point I want to get at is that the romance feels good. It doesn't feel fake as fuck. It feels like it actually is true love, not something that came out of fucking nowhere. End of discussion there. Okay, so getting past that, let's talk about the man himself, Monoma, that can copy abilities. This man, I haven't really talked about him much. I really haven't, which is kind of saddening. I should have, but I've not really talked about this man much when he is in chapters, and so I want to kind of focus a little bit on his character and get to see a little bit more, or talk a little bit more about him and what might happen in the future. So Monoma as a character, so far we know about his personality. His personality is pretty much just straight up shit. He has a very shitty fucking personality. Just point blank gonna say it. He has a very shitty personality. And his ability to copy abilities, quirks, it's a powerful ability. And I highly doubt his ability is going to be as OP as what we're probably thinking. But then again, with the way his personality is and the way he could copy other abilities, I believe he has a lot of potential to become a very good character and have a very good character development arc focused around him in the future, depending on where, the series goes, if Horikoshi wants to do that. Because Monoma, he has potential, a lot of potential, to be a very good character, especially with his, the way his design has been done, the way his, copying ability is, the way he is as a personality, as a person. He just has a lot of potential to be someone very interesting in the future of Boku no Hero Academia, so I hope Horikoshi doesn't actually let his character go to waste. Overall, a very good chapter, so let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.